Dull, overlooked corners are often the hardest part of a garden to get right, but with a few simple changes, you can completely transform them. For some folk, this is all the garden they have. It's not even garden, it's a backyard. You may remember when we first came to this garden, I earmarked this corner as being ripe for improvement. Opportunities, that's what you must think of them as, because when I've finished here, I'm really quite excited with what we might be able to create. That wall there, people kill for walls like that, don't they? But beyond it, the end of a house that's in the process of being built, so it's overlooked. It's very dry, this little border here. The hydrangea's wilting, but what I also need to do is to somehow screen that building from view, make the most of this one and of this lovely sheltered corner. Now, the obvious way of screening this building that overlooks us is with trellis. What it will also give me is an opportunity to plant climbers up there, so it won't just be a lattice work of timber, it'll be foliage and flowers, and it'll sort of embrace this corner, giving it a big hug. Now, trellis comes in all shapes and sizes, and it is of variable quality. You get what you pay for. Go for something sturdy, it will last far longer than cheaper stuff. It's generally been treated with timber preservative. Sometimes that preservative is bright orange. You can probably see from the dribbles of paint that I've already begun to change it to a colour that I think is much more acceptable in this garden. And here it is. If you've ever painted trellis, you will realise it has more sides than you would believe. I've just got the final touching up to do so that I can't see any what you might call raw timber, but it's all painted. I've chosen the colour here called pale sage, which I think is wonderfully complementary to old brickwork like this, and also to plants. Any colour will look good on pale sage, a sort of soft green like this. If you get a rather lurid green, then it sort of governs the things you can climb up it, because some things will look, oh, that'll be horrible, won't it? So something like this will cope with any kind of flower colour on it. In winter, of course, unless your climbers evergreen, all you're going to see is trellis. So it's good to have something which is pleasant to look at, with no flower and no leaf on it at all. So what we can do now is that lovely term they have in building, offer it up. This is where it's going. If you've ever got something hefty like this, get a mate in to help you. Matt's helping me with this. We've got to get this over there now. 6 foot square, this trellis. If you can get one that is a size which will fit, that's really useful, because the moment you start cutting out pieces, you lose the stability. This starts to wobble and you've got to replace these. So this 6 foot panel, sturdy, it will fit, because we've measured it, and Matt has also very kindly drilled holes and put raw plugs in the wall. Now, this soil is going to need improving, all kinds of organic soil improvers. You can use any of them. You can use multi-purpose compost just to give it a bit more sponginess, hold on to moisture particularly, because in these areas next to a wall, it's a rain shadow area. When it does rain, it often blows over the top, and this area below a wall of almost any aspect gets dry. First job though, get out these weeds. You might think of it as a menial task, but menial tasks are good for us because our minds can think of other things and just get on with the moronic job in hand. by adding organic matter like this, you're adding nutrition, but you're also adding moisture holding capability. You can see how dry this soil is here. Once I've planted into it, I shall be absolutely soaking it. And then the moisture that's in there will be held on to much longer by this organic matter than it would have been just plain, sandy, freely draining earth. Organic matter improves every soil. It opens up heavy clay soil and it binds together loose sandy soil. Now it's the turn of the hydrangea, just sorting it out a bit. I got the thicker lumps out at the bottom with the loppers. Anything more than finger size, and that's pushing it really, is too much for secateurs, anything over 1/2 inch. And then it's a matter of going through. Now you'll find shoots, in this case, like this one, the leaves are very wilted. I've just given it a soak. They should pick up. If they've all started going brown at the bottom, they're going to look pretty ugly. So any shoots like that you can take out completely. So make your cut always just above a bud. So that's enough. You could think perhaps, well, I ought to take that back so there's room for the climber, but I rather like that hydrangea spilling over the front, and now it's been given a drink, it's going to perk up. And we're all set to go now. Soil enriched, hydrangea trimmed back but still got its character, trellis in place, on we go. This is the climbing plant I've chosen. If you want the full botanical name, Trachelospermum jasminoides, star jasmine. It's an evergreen. It has these lovely white flowers on it that are wonderfully fragrant during the summer, and it's quite hefty, quite tall, so that means I can unpick all these little ties holding it and space it out over that trellis. This wall is facing sort of southeast, plenty of sunshine, and when I tie it all in up there, it'll really enjoy that. First up though, Yorkshire expression, dig an oil, dig a hole. Make your hole at least a good handspan away from the wall. If you plant it right against the wall, the brickwork will suck moisture away from the root ball. Now, planting depth is important. Never bury plants too deeply. I've measured the hole. The hole is the depth of the spade, so too is the pot. So what I want to end up with is that, the top of that root ball there, being just fractionally, and I mean fractionally, below the new level of the soil. No more. Plant too deeply, they can rot off and they don't like flowering. So that is about right now. And you can see I'm a good hand span away from the wall, and then just filling back with the earth. Use your hands, you don't always have to thump it with your welly booted foot. Pushing it in and around. And you can see now that the top of that root ball is barely just beneath the surface. And what it does allow you to do, when you've watered it all in, is mulch it with chip bark, garden compost or whatever, to seal in that moisture and help keep down the weeds. For now, I need to unstrap it, set it free, and arrange its stems all the way over that trellis. Here we are. Now you can see why I started at the bottom and worked my way to the top. If I start at the top, all these are getting in the way of your untwining down below. Such a satisfying thing to do. Makes you patient. And comes a point where you can ease the cane out from the centre. There it comes. There we are. See if you start by tying in one sturdy stem. Just teasing these out. As you can see, the star jasmine is a twiner. It wraps its stem around things, and that's what will happen with the trellis. When the new stems grow, they will twine themselves around through the interstices, gaps. And leaving enough space between the stem and the trellis so you can get your finger through, so it's not too tightly fastened in and the string won't eventually constrict the stem. And I also used a figure of 8, which means that the shoot is always cushioned behind by that, the knots at the bottom, and the stem is here, so there's always that bit of string in between it and the trellis so it doesn't chafe. So there we are, it's spaced out in the nicest way, tied in, and we've got pretty good coverage on there. And imagine next spring that's going to absolutely romp away in all directions, and we'll get the flowers next year as well. What it needs now is jolly good watering. Thanks, Matt. Couldn't have lifted it on my own. Over there, right in the middle. Thank you. There we are. Suddenly, that rather dreary corner is on its way to being somewhere where you want to sit. We've got the backdropping with the star jasmine, the hydrangeas being revived, more to go along the front, but that'll come later. For now, I reckon we made a cracking start. If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? I post new gardening videos every week to help make your garden beautiful, productive, and a pleasure to be in.